It was the spring of 1923, in a quiet English village where nothing ever changed. The same cobbled streets, worn smooth by generations of footsteps. The same stone cottages, with ivy creeping up their walls, their chimneys breathing thin trails of smoke. The same faces in the market every Saturday morning, exchanging the same gossip they had for years. And then, one morning, there was a new house. It stood at the very end of Mill Lane, where there had always been an empty field, 2 stories high, black timbered, with a steep slate roof and windows like dark, unblinking eyes. No one had seen builders. No one had heard hammers, carts, or even footsteps in the night. It was simply there, as if it had always been. And yet everyone knew it hadn't. The villagers gathered at the edge of the lane, whispering in low voices. The front door was painted a deep blood red, the brass knocker shaped like a serpent with its mouth open in a silent hiss. No smoke from the chimney, no sound from inside. The air around it felt still, pressed to still. By mid-afternoon, a man appeared at the upstairs window, tall, pale, dressed in clothes 20 years out of fashion, a high-collared shirt, a dark waistcoat, and a watch chain that caught the light. He didn't wave, he didn't smile, he just watched, his face unreadable, his eyes fixed on the crowd below. That night, a single light burned in the upstairs room. It stayed on until dawn, and in the morning the house was gone. The field was empty again, except for a single red door, lying flat in the grass as though it had been ripped from its hinges. The constable had it taken away, locked in the storeroom at the station. But the next day, the door was back in the field, behind it. The house stood once more, identical in every detail. This time, no one went near. Children were told to stay away. The vicar warned from the pulpit that it was not of God, but people still watched from a distance, unable to look away, waiting for something to happen. On the 3rd night, a sound came from the house. Not music, not voices. A slow, rhythmic knocking, 3 times, always 3, echoing across the field. Some swore it came from the serpent knocker. Others said it came from deep inside the walls, as though the house itself was knocking. By the 4th morning, the house was gone again, the field empty, but the grass where it had stood was blackened, brittle to the touch, as if scorched by fire. The pattern continued. Every few nights, the house would appear, always overnight, always vanishing before sunrise, bend, always leaving that red door behind, like a calling card. One evening, a group of young men from the village decided to test it. They waited until the house appeared, then walked up the lane with lanterns. They knocked on the door. No answer. They tried the handle. Turned easily. Inside, the air was cold and smelled faintly of damp earth and something metallic. The hallway was narrow, the wallpaper peeling in long strips. There were no footprints in the dust, no furniture, only closed doors on either side, each with a tarnished brass handle. One of them swore he heard footsteps upstairs, slow, deliberate. Another said he saw the pale man at the end of the hall, just for a moment, before he turned a corner and vanished. They left quickly, slamming the red door behind them, their lantern flames flickering wildly as they ran. The last time the house appeared, it was a foggy autumn night. A boy from the village, Thomas, dared to step inside alone. He was seen walking up the lane, lantern in hand, his breath clouding in the cold air. The red door closed behind him with a sound like a coffin lid. By morning, the house was gone. The field was empty. Thomas was never seen again. Weeks later, his mother received a package. No return address. Inside was a small, framed photograph. It showed Thomas standing in the upstairs window of the black timbered house. Behind him, the pale man rested a hand on his shoulder. Both were looking directly at the camera. The photograph smelled faintly of damp earth. And in the glass, if you tilted it just right, you could see the reflection of a red door, standing open as though waiting for someone else to step through.